A guy that we talked about, Teja, that was one of his prospects that he brought up was Jalen Royals. Jalen, Kansas City Royals coming to Kansas City. Not a more perfect name than this guy to come to Kansas City, which is pretty cool. But guys, what were your thoughts? Obviously, a receiver was one of the ones we talked about. There's a guy who did fit a mold for us. And now, we got another dog in the receiver room, and Steve Smith was raving about him. A lot of experts loved him. What was your guys' thoughts on this addition?
I'll tell you what, man, the level of his talent, I thought he would go a lot earlier than what he did, especially, to us. I'm so excited that we got this guy. And he's a big time, big play receiver, runs great routes, great hands. He loves to compete. He attacks the football. And so when you have a guy like this, that kind of it kind of reminds like a size of it, like a Juju, right? The younger, Juju could come in here, get some reps, come in and play right away. He could come in immediately and catch some footballs for us and do very well. So we don't quite know what it's going to be with Rashid Rice and whatnot, but a guy like this who is hungry to play, who knows how to run great routes. I've seen, at least for Utah, how they was running a lot of the mesh concept, kind of running a whole lot of different man. He understands man and zone, how to get open, using his body to shield other guys off to catch the football. I think, man, this is a great pick for us. I love Jalen Royals coming here to the Chiefs. I think that's one hell of a pick. That's one hell of a pick, man. We needed a guy that wasn't going to just be a guy. He's just not another guy. He's not. He's a guy that's going to be a playmaker. That immediately he comes in, he could probably be a wide receiver 2 on any other team. The fact that we got 3 guys on here who are hell of some receivers, he's going to fit right there in the mold for what we need for a long time. So I like this. I like this pick.
Teja, obviously you're a big fan of this pick. So what were your thoughts on this?
First, I want to talk about how many player comps he has, and they're all over the place, which is like, it says a lot about him, and I'll explain why he has so many. So Jaden Reed, Pierre Garçon, Mike Wallace, Rashee Rice, Chris Godwin, and what was the other one? Jermaine Kearse. Just all over the place. And the reason why that is because, and I think one of the shows I was watching said this might have worked against him. He does so many things well, but once you get past a certain point of the draft, you notice, and I think Charles Davis talked about this. People are drafting for like a skill set, a certain thing a guy does. Like they have a defining characteristic about them. Oh gosh, he's huge, or he is great at press, or he is just great straight line speed. He's a deep threat. Like they do one thing, and the teams are just trying to tackle that one skill set they need. They need to cross it off more so than a position, more so than anything else. It's like we need that thing on our team. We're missing this, right? He doesn't really have that. He does everything so well. He doesn't really have a lot of weaknesses. And when you listen to people start to, just because they have to say weaknesses when they talk about a guy, of course, it's 2025. It's like almost nitpicking, right? Because he doesn't create the huge Kyle Williams or other great receivers in the draft, like separation. But that's when I was listening to them talk about him weeks and weeks and weeks ago, that's what drew me to him. It was the fact that a lot of these guys aren't going to create that kind of separation in the NFL. So that separation you created in college, it's not going to happen. No. So if that's what you're relying on, if you're relying on getting 3 to 5 yards on, a guy who is going to be a UDFA, you're doing that against in college, that's not going to work against the typical norm cornerback. What I liked about Royals was he doesn't create that separation. He's just incredible at keeping position. Mm-hmm. And that's a skill set you can learn and keep and hone in on, right? Yeah. So once a guy is behind him and he's got that position, the way he attacks the ball and boxes people out with his body, and he's so aggressive and nasty getting to the ball, cornerbacks can't get around him. They can't do it. He has that innate skill to do that. So the French line. It just does everything so well, and that's why I also heard from one of the podcasts I listened to that Utah State runs a really wonky offensive system. They have them split really out wide, like near the sideline, and they're like, you don't do him any favors. Like the cornerback has such an advantage when a receiver is lined so close to the out of bounds line that like it limits him, right? They almost think they're saying that like how much better he's going to be in the pros when they just kind of just let him loose and find out what he's great at, what he excels at, and just exploit that and let him be him, right? Instead of being like, okay, you're going to play over here because this is how we do things here at Utah State. This is how we do. So he's not even like near his ceiling. He's strong versus press. He's got like the body type. He's pretty built. He's rock solid. They call him Brick House. He's like a Jamar Chase type body, right? And he played with a foot injury this year. So all the stuff he did, all the stats and the second round grade people were giving him, did it with a foot injury. It's going to be healthy by training camp. Catches the ball away from his body, over defenders. I'm going to look up this. I want to look up this highlight that I heard Sam Monson talked about. I think it was him. It was against UNLV. I need to look it up. He caught a ball over the middle, and the dude like nailed him. But Royals got up, went right back to the huddle, and the dude from UNLV got taken off the field. Like that's how solid he is. The kind of guy who's getting exploited, hit, and like he gets up and he's like, "I'm good." It's so like Steve Smith back in the day. Like you'd see Steve Smith get nailed, and then the player hitting him would be woozy, and Steve Smith's like, "I'm good, let's go." I just love that. Like he's not necessarily built like an outside receiver. He is built like that. He doesn't have that height that you usually want, but he can play outside just because he's so strong and he can take the press. He can play the power slot. He can just do so many things. He's 18 of 27 in contested catches this year. He just got so many ball trackings there. I read Devontae Smith type ball tracking in the air, so he can catch the deep ball. Right, you can just put him everywhere, and I just think that's such an advantage for what we want to do. I just think it's what a great fit it was, and yet again, the people saying like, "Oh, you let blank go to the Chiefs," and I think that's.
Well, that's why I was kind of using a comparison of like a young Juju Smith-Schuster, because he has that build to him. He's bulky. He's 6 foot. Was it 205? I mean, Juju's just a little bit bigger than him. But when you have a guy that can absolutely like rule the middle of the field. And I think the reason that they probably ran at set out there at Utah is because they wanted to expand everybody. That meant the defense had to expand also too, and then kind of shrink everything else, find the windows and holes. Where our offense, we can utilize him, and what we're going to do is we're going to shrink and then expand, and that's what we do great. I mean, that's when any of those things they really do is like what you do is you want to stretch the defense vertically and horizontally, and he fits right into our mode. So now all of a sudden, like you said, you have somebody, a comp like a Rashid Rice or a Pierre Garçon or one of those guys. I love the comps, what you were sitting there saying. But hey, Rashid, if he's out for a little bit, now you're just not using little guys to do it. You got this guy right here, big body guy, like you said, who's great with the body control, who just post up on guys and just get open. And he has great hands. So when you go and you just look at him on film, man, you can see everything what they were raving about. This is, like I said before, man, this is just a great pick. Any of those guys are very happy that they got this type of talent in here. Seriously. So very, very, very versatile.
We have so many guys just to toss the ball to.
Yeah.
Like this is what we've wanted for such a long time. This is going to help Patrick so much. Just to have so many guys to be like, oh, you think you got Rashid Rice's short game down? You cover 2 of his slants, so you're gonna shade on his side. Okay, well now we got Royals doing that on the other side now, or we got Hollywood, or we have Xavier Worthy doing crossers. I mean, I haven't even brought up Kelsey yet. It just or another guy we drafted later on. We have so many guys on the field. You're gonna have to keep an eye on, right? And I don't want to say we're battle tested against any injury because you can have a really bad luck, but if a guy goes down, we can absorb that now this year. To be honest, I don't want that to happen, but we can. We have that kind of depth now.
And we'll be potentially dealing with that right out the gate if Rasheed does get suspended for those first 4 games or whatever, how long it is. So we'll might have to deal with that right out the gate, which, that's fine. We have the guys to do that now.
Yeah.
Oh, another comp for him, the smoothness of him, how he makes it look so easy and fluid. Amari Cooper.
I can see that.
Just a wide range of comps. Like, look at all those comps I said. You had some like underneath gadgety guys. You had some slant yak monsters. You had some guys who can go deep. It's crazy.
What's weird to me is how he fell, because I remember when we did our draft show or the prospect show, and I think we said second, third round, that was kind of where we needed to get him.
Yeah.
And then the way the draft falls, it was 4th round, and I see it. One of the first picks, Jaguars get Chimere Dike from Florida, and that's a guy that I saw was going in round 6, round 7. I'm like, wait, this guy's going first in this round. Oh, we're not gonna get Royals, and Royals is one of the guys I had in my mind going into that 4th round. Like, can he fall to us? And then he ended up falling to us. I was like, holy crap! Like, why do you think he fell? If you guys didn't make it,
teams are just in love with certain guys. They are, and like Teja was saying, if they're envisioning a guy fitting into their system and their mode to do particular things, they're gonna go out for him. So that's what it is. And I think sometimes you start seeing some of these names that they get drafted. Earlier I was just like, oh wow, they took him. I'm just like, well, shoot, I guess for them it works, right? For their system. That's why when we were sitting there talking about it over the years, the Chiefs have a type. We know we have a type. We ain't looking so Joker 6'5", 220 going. We just we ain't gonna use those guys. We don't need it. So, we want guys that do have a particular body type, and a skill set. And so those are guys we get. So,
and if you want, like I said a minute ago, once you get past a certain point of the draft, you're not talking about like the guys in this draft. It was so much about need. I said this like a few days ago and last week, because it was so even after like pick 25 from like 25 to like 150 that at that point you're looking at your scouts, you're looking at your guys in your war room, and you're like, we need that deep threat. And between a guy who's probably a better straight up deep threat or a guy who's good at just a better overall receiver like Royals, you're going to probably lean toward just the guy who's deep there, because we don't need a guy who can do some of the things Royals does. That's not what we want. We don't need we have X, Y, and Z for that. We need a guy who could straight up just run it every time, catch a deep ball. Just that's it. So we want a player Z, right? That's what they do. They go over him. That's just what happens for a lot of the draft. And guys that are and teams that just value BPA and overall just studs, like just good football players are going to help you win. They prosper. Us, the Ravens do that. The Eagles do that. They fall less into the whole, we want this kind of guy and we're going to pigeonhole ourselves. They're just like, I want a good player. I don't know what's going to happen from one year to the next. I want a really good player on my team.
You're going to question Noah John Marshall. He missed a bunch of games, right? 5, I think. He missed a few games.
Yeah.
Foot injury.
Foot injury, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also too, I know we're seeing some people, or I've seen online chatter that the Chiefs think will get a tight end this draft. And I remember kind of the big thing we talked about on one of our many shows about the draft was being able to not necessarily get an eye for an eye, go get a tight end to replace Travis Kelce, but there's different traits that receivers can bring that can replace what Travis Kelce does. And Jalen Royals having him, because I've seen other people saying we should have gone running back early instead of the Royals pick. We didn't need another receiver because we have Worthy, we have Rice. But again, this is probably Kelce's swan song. We do need to kind of, fill in the gaps where we can, do it now. And obviously cost control guy too, right? For the next 4 years on a cheap deal. Does Royals kind of replicate some of the things that Kelce can do that does for us?
I don't think so. And the reason I say that, I'm not saying just taking up Kelce stuff, but we know we still have Hollywood Brown for 1 year deal. Okay, so we don't know how that's going to work out. Rasheed Rice is going to be out for, we don't know how long that's going to be either, right? So it could be 4 games, 8 games. Heck, we don't know if they want to just bring the hammer down and have him miss the entire season. You just don't quite know. So why don't you have at least that card, sitting in your deck, just waiting to pull out, especially somebody that's more of a body type like a Rasheed Rice that can use it. Now, can he do certain things that Travis can? Sure. But there's things that tight ends just do because they're just bigger bodies that is always a matchup, nightmare for linebackers and safeties. I still think that we could still probably find a guy. And I would still think we still got Robert Tonyan here. Okay, we still got Noah Gray. We still got Jared Wiley. And so if they're fine with that, then cool. I like the Fedone from Nebraska because I was looking for some of that, like that more physical tight end, somebody that was blocking. And I think we miss a Blake Bell. We miss that guy that can go in and actually just, as a somewhat blocking tight end. Fedone, I think for us would have fit that bill. Somebody else would have picked him up. But there's other guys out here that could probably, maybe fit that mold as well from a tight end standpoint. I'm sure we'll pull somebody in from as a free agent, especially from in the draft. There's still, like you say,
there's some good UDFA tight ends out there, man.
There's a lot of still some really good tight ends.
I'm looking at two in particular I would love to sign, man.
Yeah.
One of them's the number 8 tight end in the PFF.
Really? Who was that?
Urasek from Georgia.
Okay. Yeah.
He just didn't get utilized this year. They didn't really throw to the tight end.
Yeah.
But 6'4", 250, athletic enough to play outside. A decent blocker too.
Yeah, I like him. Luke Lashley more. Laura Zinzer. I like him. I would take him over the Georgia tight end.
I don't think he's there though. It's him and the top ones are him and Brenningstool.
Yeah. So.
And Conyers. Yeah, Conyers is out there too.
Texas Tech. Yeah. So, but just what you were, kind of, talking about Marcus. But I think that's the great part is he has a versatility. If you needed to bring him in for some of those things, sure you could. But I don't think he's like that one that would, replace Travis Kelce's thing that they do. Just for the simple fact, because I know that the Chiefs, because of the type of tight ends we got, we do love 12 and 13 personnel. I think that's one of our weapons that we have, having a guy like that. So we just had to see.
Yeah. But all in all, I mean, for some of the people who were saying we didn't need to draft a receiver there, I mean, that was not only was that value, not only was that BPA to me, but that was also, I mean, we talk about it, Rice is going to be out, missed the first 4 games. And he's coming back from an injury. Hollywood Brown's on a 1-year deal. I mean, and Rice in 2 years gonna be free agent? Is that so? I mean, like things come up. So I mean, you need to get that, and the value is there, 100%. That was a slam dunk of a draft pick right there.
Receiver, you need to keep replenishing. Just keep replenishing. And Veach said that we're always going to look at opportunities for receivers. We're just always going to keep doing that. We're going to keep swinging.
You got to.
You have to. You have to. It's just this. Because receivers can also fall off a cliff real fast, man. It can happen before you know it. And you just got to stay deep. You can't have enough of them. And they're expensive. They're pricey.
Yeah. And look, we know, we're going to throw the ball down the field. Andy Reid loves throwing the football. And you got Patrick Mahomes, okay, most talented quarterback in the NFL. So, shoot, you got to keep the weapons around you. Have to.
I think you can get just to quickly answer your question on my end, Marks, what you said. No, I don't think Royals necessarily fits that. I do love that he gets position and he can find a soft spot, get position, and keep position away from a guy guarding him, covering him. I do love that aspect. That's a little Kelce-ish. But I think the defining Kelce characteristic in the last 5-7 years is that defenders have no idea where he's going. Even if they're on him, white on rice. It's just they just don't know. He has that little shimmy, and he finds it sticks the hard foot in there and finds a soft spot. We didn't really get that. That's just a crazy ability that not many guys have. Ironically enough, kind of has that. I'd say Restrepo, who we just kind of talked about recently. He actually kind of has it. He's not big, but he does have that. Because I'll tell you what, you got to be special getting open if you're running a 4.7 40. And you're 5'9".
Yeah.
If you're 5'9", you're running a 4.7 40, and you're getting open for 80, 90 catches, you can shake people off you. That is the thing you can do. Now he doesn't have the 40 time, but he has that kind of skill set, right?
Yeah, the skill set, I get, but that 40 time is the reason why he went from a potential round 3 guy to
I know.
They know.
I know.
So
JD Kingmo asks, y'all think we can start doing more 4 wide now with the guys we got in the room?
Ooh.
yeah, we could definitely do that. Yeah, of course.
Got the personnel for it, and of course, Mahomes is talking about bringing back that fireworks offense this year. He's already talking about it. That was before the draft. Now he's got the weapons, the Royals, and then one guy we're going to get to later on in the draft. We got
I was going to say,
now.
Imagine 4 wide, him in the backfield and splitting him out wide or something. Ooh, man. Oh boy.
Yeah. We got a contribution. Appreciate the contribution, Amda, and appreciate the contribution, Slam and Sammy as well. Amda, for Teja, did we draft or sign any free agents with character concerns?
Actually, not that I didn't know about this, but they were alluding to Lott having some. I did know about Simmons. It wasn't. See, this is what we talked about on the side after our show last week. Character concerns is it's such a huge umbrella. It involves everything from like breaking the law on a felony to like skipping a practice. Like that's a huge range of things that falls into one umbrella, right? We have to kind of separate those things. Simmons was called out for maybe a lack of maybe maturity, but we're dealing with like 20-year-olds. So like maturity, okay, yeah. I'm not gonna have be my financial advisor at age 20. So like, nothing alarming, but yeah, maturity tags. That's not a big deal to me though.
Yeah, and Lott's one thing he got suspended. We talked about it last night. He got suspended for having an in-game violation of some sort, and they suspended him for a game. So nothing off the field. So I don't know where Charles Davis came out with that whole there's character concerns with him. I don't know where he got that from because there's
and we know there's a leak in the Tennessee locker room with the whole Pierce stuff. So if nothing serious is coming out against Lott, that means it's not there, right? Because someone was singing about Pierce, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know who those are. And I heard Mel Kiper sit there and say some of that little video you showed about character concerns. I was sitting there like, that is absolute horse is what that was. And I'm just like, oh, but damn, those concerns not there. I'm like, yeah, right. What the hell talking about? So
yeah, Kiper lost any little shred of credibility he had over the last 72 hours.
So I've been losing it.
Yeah, he has been.
Nothing need long on that.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.